I just want to bring forward my press conference just to let people know that we've got upwards of 7 players that won't play from Saturday night's game this weekend against Collingwood. We all know it's a big game for many reasons, to play the best team in the competition. But unfortunately, Pavlich, Ballantyne, McPhee, Silvagni, Mundy, Broughton and possibly Grover won't play this Friday night. So that's the situation we find ourselves in, and it's about now who we pick to make sure that we take it right up to Collingwood.
Can we go through the injuries pretty much one by one, I guess, Mark? Pav, was that calf related, or you said last week it was tendon? Is that Achilles or?
No, it's calf. It's calf. Yeah.
Is that the season for him?
Possibly, yeah.
Is it the season for Ballantyne as well?
Probably, yes.
And Mundy's just not come up after the game.
Pulled up really sore after the game. Yeah, so he's. I'd say he won't play again this year either.
How many fit players do you actually have?
We've got 25, but some of those guys have had limited game time anyhow because they've come back from injury even though they're not in the side. So that's the situation we find ourselves with. So I just thought I'd clear the air. You know, we've taken some calculated risks over the last, well, basically all year with some long-term injuries, and to try to get our A-grade players back playing in a team that was pretty competitive for the first, I don't know, first 16, 17 rounds, and unfortunately it's taken its toll. So.
Just to get the rest of the injuries, so McPhee?
Yeah,
what was his stroke?
Plantar fascia, which is underneath his foot.
Is that the season for him?
He's really sore. So, I mean, it's more than likely it would be the end of the year. Yeah.
And Silvagni concussion?
He's just got headaches and he copped 2 knocks during that game, so after a 6-day break we would be reluctant to play him.
Broughton?
Broughton got a hit in the ribs, just working out whether it's broken or not.
Okay. And Grover?
Just probably had a big year and it's taken its toll on him a little bit too, so we're just going to monitor him, but he's unlikely at this stage.
If you were still in contention, would any of those players get up, or is it a case of that?
No.
So it's not a case of looking after them, looking forward to next
year
or anything?
No.
So are you fearful of what might happen on Friday night if Collingwood bring their best team?
No, I'd like to think that the team is understanding of opportunity and making sure that they take it right up to last year's premiers, and we come out of that with a lot of direction about what we're doing.
Do you need a bigger list, Mark?
Do we? I think what the AFL are going to have to do is have a look at all the AFL clubs and behind the scenes and see how sore the playing group are, because my understanding is a lot of clubs going through this, and Collingwood, in fact, is one of them who said that regularly over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I think when clubs say that, without going into specifics like we have as an example here, which I think it's good for everyone, that something needs to be discussed about the length of lists, rotations, etc., etc.
So when you said carnage after the game, you weren't joking. I mean,
No, I wasn't.
It's almost unprecedented, 7 out of the 1 team.
Yeah, it was. And obviously when you're trying to put enough pressure on the Kangaroos, there are reasons sometimes why, but I don't want to see that as an excuse for being defeated like we were.
Speaking of being defeated like that, I guess it's been a fairly long post-mortem video review on that today. What did you sort of get out of that?
Well, sustaining things for longer periods effectively, yeah. You know, we're turning the ball over as much as anyone. But sometimes that can be reflective of players being sore and not being able to get out on the training track. So even some of our highly skilled players who can't or haven't been able to train a lot because of some problems they've got, that can compromise their skill too. So.
Given how many players are out this weekend and where the ladder sits at the moment, do you just wipe finals out of the equation now?
Well, I mean, that question's been asked for the last couple of weeks. You know, we'll see what happens on Friday night, I guess.
Mark, you just mentioned those turnovers, turning it over as much as anyone. Those turnovers, you said it was partly to do with injury and people being sore. kicks not going to their destination.
Not,
Is it also
not being able to train?
not being able to train? Sorry, yeah.
Avoid too much.
But is it also about not dealing with like having good skills under pressure? Because that seems to have been the case a lot.
Depends on the individual, yeah.
Mark, you've had almost a policy as a club to back your fitness program and bring some players back early. This year we've seen cases like Mzungu be successful, but others, Sandlands, Mundy now, Barlow, not so. Do you think that's been a mistake, taking that approach on some of your key players?
Well, the guys that you mentioned, they're all our A-grade players, and I'm not sure how differently it would be even if they did come back through, say, Waffle. Once again, we're trying to make sure that we get our best players in our team, because we know we have to ultimately win more than we lose. Unfortunately, we've had some long-term injuries that then has raised the question as to, okay, so they've gone through their recovery and rehabilitation. So when and how long do we play them for now? So, and all those ones that you mentioned have been impact injuries. You know, Mundy and Sandlands both had their foot stood on. And I mean, that's just bizarre, and of course we know it's Barlow. So, yeah, it's just been an unfortunate area that we've tried to get our group out there as much as we can consistently, but you know, it's just taken its toll at this stage. Yeah.
You'd have to call Barlow's coming a success though, wouldn't you? I mean, he used to break
Yeah.
the leg to be finishing the season the way he is.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think he's going to be a lot better player next year, though. Yeah.
Who does this open the door to then?
Well, I mean, if you go and do your homework, we left a lot of players out of the Waffle on the weekend. So it was as many as 6. So you'd like to think that a few of those guys would be the guys that we would bring into the team.
And Shammer is probably one that intrigues most fans. Can you just talk about his season at Fairmont?
Well, he's another one, and Bookovats we pulled out yesterday as well too.
Shammer in particular, though, he's been impressive in Waffle ranks, but he hasn't quite proven himself and given a go at the Dockers in previous years.
No, maybe his chance might come.
So you're still open to him staying on beyond?
Well, if I just go through that list there, then and there's not too many guys around that are available, so we'll see what happens in selection.
You just mentioned Bookovats then as well. Is Bookovats sort of on his last chance as well?
It's not for me to talk about their last chance. We'll do that in the review basically now. But we'll see. You know, it gives players an opportunity for us to have a look at them at AFL level in the last 2 games too.
Is it fair to
Listing all the guys that you did, so basically, do we read from that North Melbourne was really the last roll of the dice?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was.
Are you worried you could be embarrassed in front of a national audience Friday night?
Doesn't matter what audience. You know, whether it's Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. The game doesn't hold any criticism back on the back of when you play. So we'll see what happens Friday night. I wouldn't have thought that it'll be easy for Collingwood.
Mark, you mentioned the impact injuries, but you also seem to, in the last couple of seasons, had a lot of lower leg problems and foot problems. You had McPhee to that list now and Pavlich. Is there any concern about the ground, either here or at Subi, or your training loads or anything like that?
I guess when you always go through the season and you review everything, we'll have a look at where we train, how long we train. I think the important part for us at the moment is to make sure that these guys fully overcome their injury so that they don't have any issues moving forward as a player. So, and then what type of pre-season those guys will need.
Is it a bit of a concern because those injuries do tend to be longer term problems that come up again and again?
More of it's the structure stuff. So, you know, when you get hit down low, I think the pressure of this game, where players are put under so much scrutiny from contested ball, hard ball, and they're just ramming in a lot, and a lot of players are getting their legs taken from underneath them, and that is reality.
You mentioned what the AB would do in terms of the longer lists or rotations. What would be your ideal fix, I suppose, to the situation?
Well, I mean, I think you heard a lot of coaches say that we'd like to free up a lot of things from a rotation point of view. I think the idea of having 2 byes in a season is really good. to give teams, a rest during that occasion. I think that's where interstate clubs can get looked after a lot in the buys and when they have them, and etc. Because I think all sorts of things need to be addressed from that point of view. So, yeah.
Just one more. Are you tempted to rest maybe even more than that group? Like
no, we can't.
Sandilands or Barlow, maybe put them away as well?
No, they'll be playing. Yep.
Mark, is it fair to say some of the guys that might play this week and next week need to prove that they deserve a spot on the list next year as well?
Well, you could see it that way, but it's also just to see what they want to do and where they want to go. Make sure the team goes, really.
Can I just ask, just apart from the injuries, how would you assess the season? Do you put it all down to injuries, or is some of it performance related?
I think we'd be naive to just say that. It's been difficult, but we need to make sure that the players, whatever team we play, that we can be a lot more accountable for the result.